Hey guys, and warm welcome back to the channel. My name is Grace if you're new here, and this is the Rusty Thicket, where we talk about all sorts of Goblin Core stuff. And as you can see from the title and the new intro sequence thing, we're doing VLOGOWEEN. So I know I said that I would do Vlogmas. That's definitely still happening, but I have been toying with the idea of doing VLOGOWEEN for quite some time now, mostly because I just wasn't sure if I would have enough stuff to do it so soon, because I was kind of thinking about it last minute. But I have been saving and holding back on some DIY projects specifically for this, so I know I would have enough things to do, but also like have the time to go and get the things that I needed to be able to make all of these DIYs. And I think, actually I know we're good to go. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what that's gonna look like. We're gonna do lots of DIYs, costumes, we're gonna bake and make candies. We're going to have lots of Goblin Core type decor, some witchy stuff, all kinds of fun things that I'm really excited about. We're gonna bust out the Cricut. I've got some painting. We just did the flower press DIY, so we're gonna have some flower press stuff that I think everybody's gonna really appreciate. Just generally lots of DIYs and a good time. So one of the big things I want to make sure to let you guys know is that if you stick around to the end of VLOGOWEEN especially, make sure you don't miss the last episode on Halloween, because that is when I'm going to request you all to leave a comment below so that you can enter to win the trick-or-treat bag that we are going to make on the channel. And then most of the stuff that I'm making that I'm not keeping, and I don't know what all of that is just yet, but a lot of the little projects that we do are going to go inside of that bag, and that's what I will ship to you along with some other goodies and things like that. We're going to start each day with a tarot card reading, and I'm not like 100% amazing at that. That's something I'm still I work with daily. I have to flip through my books and stuff, so just bear with me on those, but we're gonna do them because I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, so here in just a second we will draw our first card for the month of October, and we're gonna start this off with a bang, and I'm going to talk to you guys about mini traveling altars. This is one of those little Altoids tin type things, just like this one, and a little bit more differently this one. But we're going to get to that here in just a second. Let's draw our first tarot card. All right, let's give the deck a little bit of a shuffle here. All right, and October's very first card is going to be the Ace of Pentacles. All right, and I'm going to look it up because I do not have all of these memorized yet. Success, manifestation, security, prosperity. If you want to know, this is the Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Kranz, and I hope I'm saying her name right, but this is one of my favorite decks of all time, and I can't wait for you guys to see how beautiful each and every one of them are. But anyway, so the Ace of Pentacles, it comes from, it comes out of a cloud in the Rider-Waite. I do know that much. It's here, let me look through this really quick. Usually this is the one where it's like this and it's got the coin, if you're familiar with tarot, but this is one of the only cards I'm actually pretty familiar with. But I do know it means success and manifestation, security, prosperity. It says it's the time for financial gain. You have the ability to manifest whatever you desire. There are new opportunities for abundance and material well-being. You may be purchasing a house or starting a new business. Also good physical health. So the irony is I went to the ER today. Side note, I guess. Just been having some like weird pains in my arm, and I think it's from editing, but anyway, that's besides the point. But nothing came up from, blood work or whatever, so that is technically good physical health, right? And irony also that it says abundance and material well-being. You may be purchasing a house or starting a new business. I'm selling a house, and I did start this new business. So, when you take tarot into consideration, it's It typically does line up with your life because they are a little bit on the vague side, but the whole point in tarot is to apply them to your life and understand that those are the things that the cards are trying to bring forth. You know, you want to be paying attention to the things that the cards are bringing to your attention. So I just think that's very interesting. The actual readout depicts quite a few of the things that I'm already actively going through. So great first card for October, and I can't wait to draw tomorrow's. All right, so now we are on to today's DIY. We are going to build out this little 10 here. It's like an Altoids 10 into a travel altar. I know you guys have seen this before. It's the Mystifying Mints. I actually got this one from the like checkout aisle or whatever area of Spirit of Halloween years ago. I have always wanted to turn this into a traveling altar like I've seen, and just never really took the time to print stuff out, have things made for it, so that's what we're going to do today. I want to start by telling you, you can have literally anything be a 10. I even have this little teeny tiny Altoids 10. I didn't make anything for this one today, but maybe one day we'll make an even smaller version of what we're about to. I love 10s. You can also use a T10 if you see, you know, some of the fancier teas come in little boxes, but they're like, you know, they're taller for tea bags. And those would work great too. They could even be wood or, you know, put stuff in a bag, however you want to do it. But we're going to do an Altoids 10 today because I have some special things that I made specifically for this Altoids can size. And I have like magnetic pieces I've made for this. And all of this is going to be available on my website and on Etsy, and I will give you all those links below here in just a little while. Alright, so get out your 10, make sure that you have something big enough to hold everything that you yourself would want to go traveling with. This is pretty much big enough for me. I like that it's already decorated on the top, so I'm not going to have to alter the 10 much at all, but eventually this month in some following videos we will be getting to that also. So this is for just the inside contents technically, and then the lid, because I think this is an underutilized area of a traveling altar. Sometimes it's just decoration and that's pretty, but I wanted it to be useful. So I designed this. We're gonna pick up the camera a little bit here. So this is a printable that I have made. We're gonna have 8 different divination printables for you to cut out and either adhere to some magnetic sheet, like you can see here. This one I've already, you know, cut out the back. I've already cut out the back on this one. But this is just a magnetic sheet. You can also get the kind that you print on, but I couldn't find that here, so I'm not really sure if they just don't really do that here in Japan, or if I'm just not looking in the right places, which is completely possible. So all you're going to want to do is print this out, cut these individually out, and then you can stick them, like I said, to the magnet backing. Or if you want to go to like Walmart, I think probably Michael's has them too. But this is one of those little like 2.5 by 3.5 wallet sized magnet cards where you would slip down your photo and then, you know, stick it on the refrigerator. But what I did was I cut it down to make sure that it would fit into the tin perfectly, and then I had to go back through and tape the longer side so that I would at least have, you know, like a pocket to put it in. I could tape this side up too, but I did cut it just a little too short for what I ended up needing it to be. So if you don't use all of these kinds of divination in your practice or in your witch's altar, you know, you can just pick 1 or 2, go ahead and permanently adhere this in here. As you can tell, I did make them a little bit smaller. They're not perfectly aligned with the inside, but that's because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of room to be able to grab it. And if I wanted to leave the edges actually squared off, that is what would fit in here inside of the curves. So yeah, this is available on my website as a free download, and then it's $3 if you want to buy it off of Etsy and send me a little money. I just wanted you guys to have what I'm working with one way or another. And on my website for the free download, all you have to do is scroll down through the blog post for the DIY Witches traveling altar. Alright, so now into the meaty stuff. Like I was saying, these like cards are for the type of stuff that I usually do. I love divination. One of my favorites obviously is tarot. We've been, or we're going to be talking a lot more about tarot in the next few days, but I wanted to share with you my traveling tarot deck. This is like the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck. It's not my favorite, I will be honest. I like the symbolism in them. I'm not super fond of the colors. I've kind of got like an aesthetic thing that I go for in my witchcraft because I like things to be really beautiful, and you know, you resonate with art, and that's why you buy a lot of the tarot decks that you do. But I did like that it printed well on photography, just like regular photo paper, and that gave them kind of that glossy, more card-like feel to them. Anytime I tried to print black and white, it just never came out the right way. So anyway, I'll link that below. This is a full deck, and I use one of those little like clear elastic bands to keep them all together, and it's perfect. It doesn't warp the cards at all. I've been using these for a long time, and I do travel with them, but usually this is kind of all I have in here, with like a candle and some stuff. But I finally made these like we've been talking about, and I can do crystal grids and like my tarot card reading, and even into some sigils and things. So there's a crystal grid and a pendulum reader here. So other than the tarot deck, I really don't think that you can have a traveling altar without a candle. This is just a regular birthday candle. I typically only travel with white because it's kind of the universal, it's like the quartz crystals of candles. You can use it for pretty much anything you need to. Obviously there needs to be matches because of that, and I typically carry just a couple of those at a time because I can almost always find a lighter somewhere nearby anyway. This is a spinning washer nut that I got at Lowe's. It holds the candle perfect, and then it's got a base that you can sit it on, and then obviously they come apart and you can travel with them. This does not need to be spinning, it just happens to be that that's what I found when I was looking for an easy, affordable base. You can buy much cuter things, but I kind of liked the utilityness of that. But a candle, you know, you've got your fire, of course, for your fire rituals, and then when you put the fire out and you create smoke, that will cleanse things. You can also use the wax to seal spell jars and other things like that. So candles are really handy. I usually do a couple, but I've just got the one in here for show. So the other thing I like to include is crystal pieces. These are you know, genuine crystals, but they have just been cut down into little chip sizes. They are perfect for these smaller crystal grids, and if you put them in your little pocket, and that's a magnet to the back now, and you know, you can use them. Obviously this isn't how you would set it up, but you know, for an example, you can still use your crystals in the little tin. It just beats having to roll up a piece of paper or having any kind of folded situation so the crystals fall off of there. And it's small and mini, and that of course makes it cute. And then that goes into this little clear acrylic. I think this is actually from like origami owl or something. I had a friend that was getting rid of a bunch of stuff from when she had that business, and I just thought this would be the perfect size for collecting little odds and ends and putting them on my altars and stuff. Alright, so other than that, I love sigils. If you're not familiar with sigils, definitely look into them, because I feel like they're one of those really simple, easy ways to feel you've activated something, you know, you've concentrated. They're very interactive, or at least the way that I do them are. You always start with, you know, a positive intention that you want to put out into the world, because of course that's what you get back. And then you're going to remove all the vowels and anything that repeats, and then you're going to break down those shapes and draw it into a new shape. And then to activate that, you meditate with it, or you can write it down and then burn it. I've also written on, like, you know, the bottom of a shoe. It depends on how long you want that sigil to be around, and if it's something you can get back to charging with intention and things like that later on. But in order to do that in a traveling altar, you need some sort of paper and a little pencil. This is just for example, but I typically already have a pencil or something like that in my purse. But a golf pencil would be the best thing to get your hands on for something like this. I just don't have one. Alright. And then one of the other things I really like in my daily practice is pendulums. I think they're a great way to ask yes or no questions. Sometimes tarot can be a little hard to understand, or hard to translate, I guess. They are a little bit more vague, like I was saying. But you can ask a pendulum yes and no questions. Of course, they can give you that they're unsure, and you know, they also do like maybes and things like that. And I would definitely recommend a board that gives you those options, because you could get very mixed signals if you don't. But I wanted to show you some examples. So this is the guy that I use when I'm here at the house. It's lapis lazuli. It's got a whole chakra of, like, a whole rainbow of other crystals. It's very powerful. I feel like it was just meant to be mine when I saw it. So in witchcraft, that's kind of something you go for, things that you resonate with, because that's what puts power to them. It's beautiful, and I use it here at the house all the time, but I don't like to travel with it because it was expensive, and also, you know, it's a prized possession of mine. So the other options would be to find a crystal that you feel the same way about, but maybe wasn't nearly as expensive, or maybe isn't as sentimental, but you know, you still really love and you find beautiful, and then make it into a necklace. Pretty much anything at the end of a string that has some weight to it can be a pendulum. This one, it's not wire, it's actually like a sort of more plasticky thread, like an embroidery thread, and then just made the little wire wrap look for it to sit in. And this is actually a lava bead, so I could add essential oils to it or whatever if I want to do that. It fits great inside of the tin, or I could be wearing it and just not have to carry it in here. Either way, it works great as a pendulum. It's given me some great advice. And then the last item, I actually just dug this stuff out of the goblin hoard that I already have. So if you've been following the channel for a while and you go back and look, you can actually see these two pieces. This is just like an old part of a chain that I found somewhere, and then this was actually given to me by a friend. I don't believe it's even real crystal. It's just like that fake crystal glass looking stuff. But you know, that's not the important part. It's, do you resonate with it? Does it work for you? And you know, you just have to try them out. So I really love this one for traveling because it's inexpensive, it looks good, it gives me really good advice still, and it's nice and small. So when I'm using my pendulum cards, they work great. And I will just give you a little bit of an example of how I would just be able to do that. So we're going to start by touching the center here and then raising it up. Am I doing a good job on this YouTube video? Oh. Well, it's going between yes and unsure, which is pretty much exactly how I feel. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is just, you know, other things that you could put in here, because this is basically what my travel altar looks like. I don't typically do a lot of herbs and things like that, but of course you can add them to them. It's just that when I'm traveling, I keep mine really simple and really small, and I try not to put a whole lot of stuff in here that I would be afraid to lose or things like that, because as much as I want it to be, you know, the nicest stuff, you are traveling and you could lose it. And even though I wouldn't necessarily think that as just like a bad omen or anything, you know, maybe something in that did not serve you and that's why it was lost. But anyway, you can add herbs, you know, flowers, all kinds of stuff, essential oils. I've seen lots of people put all kinds of, you know, seashells and other gemstones, like larger gemstones. I've also seen people carrying dice. I've not actually tried dice divination. I think there's actually a word for it too. Something about numerology, but it is something I'm very interested in getting into, and I think I'm going to start including a dice in here just to, you know, give myself another option. So that's pretty much it. I've got, you know, tarot cards, crystals, some pencil and paper. Definitely get a candle and something to hold it in, because of course you don't want to just set down a candle that's on fire. And then these little cards that I find super useful for my practice. I even included the Witch's Reed because it's good for you to remember that no matter what you put into the universe, you absolutely receive back, and typically threefold. And you know, you just want to make sure you're on the straight and narrow with witchcraft, because it's a good practice, unlike what most people, you know, want you to think. So anyway, happy almost Halloween, and for those of you who actually celebrate Samhain and all of those things, I cannot wait for you to see what we've got coming up. And just make sure you like and comment and subscribe so you don't miss any of the future videos. And I would love, as a, not a baby witch, I guess, I've been practicing for a long time, just somebody who's not really great at retaining a lot of the information, but I would love to know what you guys think. What do you keep in your travel altar? Are you interested in cards like these? Should I make more? Because I really like how they turned out. And just so that you are aware, you can safely close either version, whether it's a single on a piece of magnet or the entire set in like a little pocket. Each one of them close great. Nice and even all the way around. But that is my first VLOGOWEEN video, and tomorrow we are back for something a little goopy. So make sure you stay tuned. Bye guys.